Dropping your bike is actually a good thing. And before I explain why, it's very important that you know that these 10 things I'm about to tell you are lies.
Lies! Lies and slander!
5 years ago, I almost quit riding because I believed in some of these lies. Don't let that be you, because if you quit riding or you never even start, then you might not experience this. If I wasn't riding, I'd still be dead on the inside at my old office job, and my main hobby would probably be Zumba. Now, back to why dropping your bike is actually a good thing. Have you ever noticed how off-roading bikes and police bikes come with drop protection? It's the people who push themselves, the people who do difficult things on bikes, that drop their bike a lot. If you never want to drop your bike, then just play it safe. You don't have to push yourself. And what's the risk? You get some scratches on your bike, a potential injury. Personally, I've dropped this bike in tons of off-roading practice, big Harleys in tons of slow speeds practice, and I've never been injured from any of those drops. Well, except one time I sprained my ankle, but we're not made of glass. We are organic. We can heal. And what's the reward? Now I can do tight figure eights and U-turns on really big bikes that I could barely even take off the kickstand before. That is worth it to me. Only the best drop their bike. Many, many times.
So in the process of learning how to manage these larger motorcycles, taller, bigger bikes, heavy bikes, I've dropped them a lot. If you're dropping your bike, you're learning. Like, I really feel like everybody should just go out there and just tip their bike over. Get it over with, right?
Loud pipes save lives. Well, according to this article by a motorcycle accident attorney, they actually found that there's no correlation between the loudness of pipes and fewer motorcycle wrecks. And the reason that's probably a myth is because most motorcycle accidents actually happen at intersections, someone turning left in front of a motorcyclist. Your chances of getting in a motorcycle accident increase whether you are riding tired, under the influence, your experience or lack of experience level, whether you're speeding. They don't occur by someone striking a motorcyclist from behind, which is where you would hear the exhaust. If you want a loud exhaust, just say that. As far as people saying that motorcycles are dangerous and that it's not if you go down, it's when, that's not actually backed by data. Motorcycles aren't as dangerous as people think, and I have the data to prove it to you. We hear this statistic the most. You are almost 30 times more likely to get in an accident on a motorcycle than you are in a car. Negative, scary things go viral more than sometimes the truth. According to the insuranceinformationinstitute.org, from a study done in 2019, out of 8 million registered motorcycles in the US, there were 84,000 accidents with injuries. That's less than 1% of people who own a bike getting in an accident. I had a hard time believing this at first, so I looked to see if I could find another source that would parallel this. And I found that the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration records that about 72 out of every 100,000 motorcycle riders will experience a crash. That's 0.0007%. Those are two pretty different statistics, but it still shows that less than 1% of riders in the US will experience a crash. Compare that to about 7% of people over the age of 20 who will get cardiovascular disease, or 23% of people who get injured working out. Once you hit 30, you're twice as likely to get cancer than you are to get in a motorcycle accident. And that only increases the older you get. Granted, accidents can happen, but there are things we can do to keep ourselves safe. Reducing speed, not drinking and riding. Just by doing those things, you already cut your chances of being in an accident in almost half. A majority of accidents, the driver claims to not be able to see the rider, which is why you'll always see me in bright gear and this light on the back of my helmet. It works wire-free with these mounting that attach by 3M tape so you can put it across multiple helmets. So it works whenever you're stopping or slowing down. No wires, no apps, nothing. The technology is called accelerometer and gyrometer. A couple of 20-something engineers were on Shark Tank invented it. I'm just so impressed by that. It's linked down below. Use discount code DOODLE10. Whether or not you ride, 100% of people will die. So how you live before you get there is up to you. The next lie is that if you can't pick up your bike, it's too big for you. When I first got this bike, I couldn't pick it up. Just because you can't pick up your bike today doesn't mean you can't learn the technique in a few hours with a certified instructor and then be able to pick up your bike. My bike was the first thing in my life that motivated me to get in shape, work out, and that's what I did with this bike. I specifically built muscle for this. Now, not everyone is a swole, disciplined mofo like me. Some people want to stay scrawny and weak, but it's okay, I'll be strong. If you want something, don't listen to the underperformers shooting on you. And very popular, how to layer down. Let's see what an actual motor instructor who's been teaching civilians to ride for 25 years and analyzing motorcycle accidents for the state. Let's see what he has to say about that.
Everybody knows somebody who says, a car pulled out in front of me, so I had to layer down. What they're really saying is I had no clue how to get out of the way, so I slammed on the brakes and slid on my ass, crashing to avoid a crash. That's the last thing you want to do. Believe me, it works much better with the bike up on two wheels. You could do anything you want. If you can't maneuver the bike the way you see me doing here, you're in deep trouble.
The next lie, you can't use your front brake in a turn or you'll go down. That's actually called trail braking. Yes, you can.
Trail braking. If you're an expert rider that's been around for a while, you're doing it. If you're a brand new rider, maybe you've heard don't do it. Do all your braking in a straight line. Don't trail the brakes into the corner. We control a bunch of things when we trail brake. When we trail brake pressure into the corner, we control our speed, which is what most of us think brakes are all about. But we add to that the control of our steering geometry. When we let go of the brake straight up and down and the fork rebounds, the contact patch gets smaller. We'd like to leave that contact patch bigger at the tip end. This is not our idea. This is not something that we came up with and we think you should trail brake because we discovered it. It's that the best in the world trail brake.
The next lie is saying a bike is too tall for you or that you should lower it. This is where I almost quit riding. For my second bike, I got a Triumph Bonneville, much lighter than this, and I was tiptoe on it. I didn't realize what I didn't know. So I was very unstable on it. I just about dropped it or almost dropped it every time I rode it, and I got really discouraged. I thought maybe riding just isn't for me, and that's when more than one subscriber started telling me about Jocelyn Snow. She's 5'1½", rides a GS 1250, and her feet don't even touch the ground. I'm not as hardcore as Jocelyn Snow, but I adopted her short rider tricks that she shows on her YouTube channel, any bike that I'm tiptoeing on. And when I started applying those tricks, everything was easier. I stopped dropping my bike. Bigger, taller bikes were easier to handle. And it was so simple. It's not like I needed a year of practice or some advanced classes. I just needed some tricks that I could learn in an afternoon. I've got tricks like that I apply to taller sport bikes, baggers, and my bike, which you can see in any one of these videos. Here in the US, people quit riding at alarming rates. Check out what Dave from Canyon Chasers had to say about it.
Recently, the USMCA, or the United States Motorcycle Coaches Association, pulled data from all the major manufacturers and a whole bunch of states. And what they discovered was that 80% of new riders completely leave the sport within 2 years.
And if it hadn't been for you guys telling me about Jocelyn Snow, showing me that I wasn't limited on the size of bikes I could ride, that could have been me. There was a while when I thought I couldn't handle taller bikes. Dirt bikes, baggers, adventure bikes. I felt like a failure, but now I see that you don't fail, you quit. The next lie is that bike is too small for you. It depends on the kind of riding you're doing and especially on where in the world you're riding. You can have a lot of fun on a mini bike. The next lie is that you'll outgrow that bike. Some people, maybe some more in the US, myself included, really like big bikes. I like big bikes and I cannot lie. I understand that's a me thing. Some people want a lower CC or a smaller bike, and that's actually perfect for the kind of riding that they do. Some people won't admit it, but they like to speed. I wouldn't know anything about that. And that's a little harder to do on a Honda Rebel 300 or a Honda Grom that tops out at 55 miles per hour. But if I didn't have a YouTube channel, I would probably still just be commuting on my bike and going on weekend day rides to the mountains. And for that, I had a Triumph Street Triple R. I got it not because I ever used all the horsepower that that bike had, but for the kind of riding that I was doing and the speeds that I preferred to go, I probably would have been just as happy on a Yamaha R3. That still fits the style of riding I was doing, it's still comfortable, and it can hold its own on US highways. The only time a R3 would really be a struggle is if you're trying to go triple digits or above. Otherwise, I could have seen myself perfectly happy on a 300cc sport or naked bike. And just keep in mind that 500cc is not the same across different bikes. Just because you've been riding a Yamaha Bolt for several years doesn't mean you can get on a Yamaha R6 and not run into a fence because you were not expecting that torque. Just be careful, is all I'm saying. And the last lie is that owning a bike is cheaper than owning a car. When my husband sold his R3, the guy buying it said this loud and clear, and I think so that his wife in the car could hear. I can't afford a car, so I'm getting this bike. Actually, according to AAA, the average yearly maintenance costs for owning a car are about $800. And according to JD Power, the average yearly maintenance costs for owning a bike are about $800 on the low end. You can get a brand new Honda car for $30,000. And you can get a brand new Honda touring bike for $30,000. The average person in the US makes about $1.7 million in their lifetime. Don't you think that 0.000 something percent is worth it for your mental and emotional well-being? I mean, at this point, it's not an expense, it's an investment. You're welcome from saving you from these 10 lies. Next, check out this video that YouTube wants you to watch, or 10 things that nobody tells you about riding next.